Hey, it's Mark Lanier with your video thought for the day. All right, I can't show you the camera right now, but I've got it on a stand here in my office. And it's one of these stands that's got like a pole on it, and you can set it various heights. And I set the camera in the stand, and then I looked like this. And I thought, well, that's not gonna work. Doesn't look good. So then I adjusted it. And then when I adjusted it, it looked like this. I mean, I looked outrageous. And so I thought, well, that's not gonna work either. So then I thought, well, what is going to work? And I kept moving it. Do you know what I was doing? I was getting prepared to shoot this video. And that's appropriate because my video thought theme this week is the theme of preparation. And if you missed yesterday's, I talked about how preparation means even while God gets the credit and the glory and appropriately so, that doesn't mean that we do nothing in the process. God has us getting ready and working. I used a proverb for yesterday. But today I want to talk about preparation in another sense in which we find it in the Bible. There's an interesting passage that's just almost a side reference. It's an explanatory passage in the Gospel of Mark talking about the life of Jesus. And it's found in Mark 15, verse 42. And it says, when evening had already come, because it was the preparation day, that is the day before the Sabbath. Now, the reason I'm finding this interesting and important is because that passage indicates that the Jews had a practice of calling the day before the Sabbath the preparation day. See, you didn't just go into the Sabbath unprepared. The Sabbath is a day where you're not supposed to work. And so meals had to be cooked the day before on preparation day. If you were to go to Jerusalem today and right before the Sabbath sets in, you go to the Machane Yehuda, which is the Jewish marketplace. You'll see everybody hustling and bustling around there in Jerusalem, trying to get what they need to get prepared for the Sabbath. And so they'll be buying their challah loaves. They'll be buying all of the food they need. You've got to prepare so that you can do the Sabbath without working. Now, the Sabbath, as we talked about in some videos recently, the Sabbath is also reflected within the Christian concept of our rest in God, that God created humanity with the need for Sabbath, but the Sabbath is there for us. And this idea then that we would get ready for it, that we would prepare for it, is an indication that we also prepare our lives daily for how we walk with God. And Paul uses this when Paul writes a letter to his protege, Timothy, in the end of Paul's life. Paul's almost through with this human course. And Paul tells Timothy in 2 Timothy 2:21 that if anyone cleanses himself from the things that Paul had been talking about, which included just worldly and empty chatter, gossip that destroys people, if we rid ourselves of these things, if instead of feasting each day on just if instead we'll watch what we say, watch what we think, we'll rid ourselves of these things, Paul says that we'll be a vessel for honor, that we'll be sanctified. That means that we'll be more dedicated to God. And then it says we'll be useful to the master, prepared for every good work. So, it's your video thought for the day. What does it mean? It means that in preparation for every good work for God, we need to treat this as preparation day. We need to say, okay, today, I'm not going to nag. I'm not going to gossip. I'm not going to use just fruitless language. I'm going to set myself on a deliberate course today to honor God with what I say as well as what I do. And that prepares me to be a better vessel for him. And that is your video thought for today.